Welcome to another video in our video series. So another question I get is what tools are available to use to put the finishing touches on your project that Chalk Couture offers. So I've got a wide variety of tools on the table in front of me, and I'm going to walk you through each one and tell you how I use them and what I like about them. So I'm going to start out with the 4-inch handled squeegee. And actually, let's talk about all the different squeegees. So you know that as you're making your project, you're going to use a squeegee or a tool to get the chalk paste onto the transfer and get good coverage with the chalk paste and squeegee off the extra. So depending on the type of surface you're using, depending on the size of the surface that you're using, you're going to pick a squeegee that works best for you. So looking on the wall behind me, this locally grown, I used the 4-inch handled squeegee for the large part in the middle, the white part that says locally grown. It's a large transfer. This allowed me to get a lot of the white Chalkology paste on the surface and to get good coverage and to spread everything out. So that's why this option is good for larger surfaces, larger transfers. But we also have a small squeegee and a mini squeegee. There's an angled squeegee. I like this one because not only does it have different corners and angles, but and I know you can't really see, but the sides are different, where this side is built in to squeegee off the extra, if that makes sense. There's also the multi-tool. So one end of the multi-tool is a squeegee. This really helps for smaller areas, fine detail work, but the other end of the multi-tool is good. It's not a squeegee per se, but it's good for stirring up your jars of chalk paste and getting the chalk out from around the edges. Another tool, this is the detail tool, has a smaller yet squeegee at the end. And then hidden on this side, you open it up and it's a fine point. This is really good for detail work, maybe cleaning up some areas too. So these, the handled squeegee, the different size squeegees, the different tools, they can come in handy depending on what project you're working on, the size of the project, and how detailed you're going to be with it. If you're going to use one color or more than one color. So I like all of those. What else do I have in front of me? Oh, the board eraser. If you have not heard me talk about this before, this is your magic eraser. So board erasers, they come in a 2-pack, and this is what you're going to use to clean off your transfer with water. You're going to scrub the front side, scrub the back side off of your backer sheet, right? To clean your transfer real good. You can also use the multi-tool with water if you're going to repurpose and change out the designs. Especially helpful on the reusable chalkboard boutique board surfaces that you have behind me. So the board erasers, hands down, it's a must-have in my opinion. Along with the board eraser, we've got the brand new paste scraper. This, I may do a video all on this all on its own because it's that amazing. But the paste scraper is what you're going to use to clean off and repurpose your design, your reusable chalkboard surface. So you take your fine mist sprayer, I like that segue. This is just filled with water, preferably distilled water, but you can use tap water if you need to. But this is filled with water. And what I like about it, it's not your ordinary spray bottle. And maybe I can spray, I don't know if it'll show up on camera. But can you see that mist? That's gonna help us not only spray down our surface to get it wet, to loosen up the chalk paste, to where then you can use your paste scraper, scrape it up, and use your board eraser to give a nice, good, clean finish on your board. But the fine mist sprayer is also super handy if you're using your jars of paste The Chalkology paste, it's organic, it's non-toxic. Depending on where you live and the humidity and how you store it, with the shelf life, if it's 6 months, 8 months, a year. But it can dry out a little bit, and so if you use the fine mist sprayer to spritz a little bit of water and then your stir sticks, then that helps you to stir it up to get it a nice good consistency. So I've just found that using the fine mist sprayer helps me control the amount of water that I use so that I don't put too much water in. You just put a little bit at a time, stir it up. If you need more, a little bit more at a time, stir it up, but you don't want to inundate your jars of paste with a lot of water. What else do I have in front of me? These come in different sizes, but it's the paste wax. So depending on the type of surface you're going to use and how porous the surface is, you may want to put a layer of wax on before you put your transfer on. That is going to make sure that your transfer doesn't get stuck on there. So when you go to peel up your transfer, it doesn't stretch or tear or change or kind of damage the reusable silkscreen part. So that's the paste wax. We've got little plastic color trays. These are awesome. I've recently started using the Chalkology paste for a watercolor technique, and so I'll put some paste, just a little bit goes a long way, but I'll put some paste on my color tray, add some water to really thin it down so that I can use either a paintbrush or sometimes the squeegee too to get a watercolor type effect on my projects. This is also really good if you're going to host or have, what are they called? Chalk and sip parties, right? So you have multiple people and you want to use the paste sample packets, or you want to kind of divvy up the different colors. These are super handy, very affordable. They come in a pack of 12 or 24, I don't remember. But they're reusable, washable. Then this looks like a roll of tape, right? And even if you zoom in a little bit, there's a ruler on here, so it can help like a measuring tape for your different projects. But this is called our placement tape. So not only does it help us placing our transfer down, it doesn't hurt the transfer, which I like. Let's say I want to use this transfer, but I only want it to say live. I don't want it to say in the moment. What I could also do if I wanted, let's find the edge here. I could, and I'm just gonna take a little bit here, but I could, whoops, grab my placement tape. And you see what I did there? I covered up in the, so that's gonna act as the blue painter's tape. It's gonna act as that so I don't accidentally get my, oh, look at that. So I don't accidentally get paste in that part of the transfer. I can use that as a buffer. It's also helpful because it has the ruler on it. If I needed to measure where I'm gonna place my different designs and how I'm gonna put the project together. And like I said, it's very safe for your transfer. So it's not gonna hurt the transfer from being, from being on top of it. It's not going to hurt your surface that you're working with. I also have an ink mat. So these come in a couple different sizes. What this is, it's a like harder, flexible surface. So this is used for the Chalkology ink, and if you wanted to do different fabrics, t-shirts, pillowcases, tea towels, canvas, tote bags, anything like that. One side of the ink mat is sticky, and so what you'll do, let's say I'm doing a t-shirt, what I would do is I would put this inside the t-shirt, from inside the top layer and the bottom layer. so that it creates a barrier so the ink doesn't seep through the top and the bottom. But because one side is sticky, it's also going to stick my fabric to it. And so that helps get a nice, good, flat surface with no creases, no lines, no air bubbles, none of that. So it helps with, once you have your transfer placed on there, from the bleeding from the edge, all that. So ink mat, definitely if you're going to be using the Chalkology ink and making different fabric designs. This surface, this gray hard surface that I have underneath here, this is my work mat. So not only does my work mat have grids, it's got a ruler on here, so it really helps me in placing my design. I'm just right here in my kitchen, so I'm sitting at the kitchen table. So this helps to protect my kitchen table from any of the projects that I'm working on. It's washable, so I can clean it off. It also is self-healing, so if I was using a knife, if I was using an X-Acto blade, anything like that, this is gonna protect and self-heal. Another thing that I've added to my table full of tools, I've actually added the current catalog. And the reason for that is, did you know that with every catalog that is released, Chalk Couture provides us with what they call a recipe book? So let's say I'm looking at this, and let's just take the cover for example. I'm like, oh my gosh, this is gorgeous. How do I recreate this? Well, I just go to my recipe book and I say, cover page of the catalog, Hello Autumn, how do I recreate this piece? Chalk Couture gives me a recipe, and they say, this is the surface that's used, this is the transfer that's used, your transfer design. These are the colors of chalk paste or ink that's used. Anything else that's a helpful hint for you to recreate any design in the entire catalog. So that is definitely a tool I keep in my toolbox because of course looking through this, there are just so many gorgeous designs. Let me know if you have any questions about any of the tools that I've shown you, about how to use them, or if you have a question on, hey, I'm working on this project, how can I make that easier on me?